welcome to Tony Tempalato. A strange name for a pizza company, I know. But let me tell you our story. See, we are both a pizza company and a packaging company. We have a very, very secret recipe pizza that's famous the world over. People wait in line for 2 hours, but some people, they have a bigger family. They don't want to wait in line with their little kids screaming and crying for 2 hours. So we invent a secret pizza box to deliver it to our customers so they can enjoy the family time at home. That is a great thing. We are all about family. And speaking of family, I'm going to introduce you to somebody very, very dear to my heart. He is Mr. Scotto. Mr. Scotto, we are like separated at birth twins. We find out that we have the same great-grandmother, Veterina Barbarella. Not the Barbarella like the Jane Fonda movie character. No, not the Barbarella. Well, I like the Jane Fonda, yes. She's very, very good in Cat Ballou, the spaghetti western with all the westerns and stuff. Oh, that's a spaghetti western. That's my favorite. But I digress. It's great. But Mr. Scotto, he has a secret recipe for you. In fact, we do secret recipes. Every so often we get requests for people for a secret recipe. And this week we got the request for a cereal box. And Mr. Scotto has a very, very special cereal box recipe. It's all these layers and you put the pictures in. Oh, it's a wonderful cereal box. It's kind of an off-menu item. But oh, you will love the pizza box recipe. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to Mr. Scotto and his special pizza box. Ciao! Thanks, Mr. Tony. My good friend, Tony Tempalato, king of the template, king of the pizza box, and he has a pretty awesome pizza recipe, too. And every so often, he gets a special request for a unique template, and then he calls me and we dig through the family recipes to look for one. And this week is no different. This week, we have a cereal box template. Oh, you're gonna love it. It's like I do all the layers, and then you actually add all your own spice to it to make it your own. So let's get started. In this video, we're going to take a template for a cereal box like this that I've pre-drawn and built separate layers for each of the different sections. And then we're going to add artwork to it to end up looking like this. This is the type of file that you would be sending to a printer to actually print a real cereal box. For creating your print-ready file in Illustrator to send to a printer or to print out for a mock-up, there are two ways to do it. One is actually using JPEG files for each individual panel. It's an easier way to do it, but it's probably not the best way. You get a cleaner image if you use the original Adobe Illustrator files, but both can work. You just have to make sure that the files that you use for JPEGs, like this, the one on this panel here, are high resolution, usually the actual size of that panel, and they also need to be at least 300 dpi. So to get started, let's begin with a blank template. I've got rid of all the other files that were in here that I used originally. And you will see that there are several layers in the template. There are the printer marks, which are the crop marks and registration marks and color targets. If you turn those off, you can on and off toggle between them. You can see what those are. There's also the die line. That is the line that you follow to either cut and fold the box for when you make a mock-up, or what the printer uses to create the die line. You can turn that on and off. You can see it's a light blue line. If you're on a small screen, it might be a little hard to see. There's also a panel that's turned off right now called the structure, and that is actually basically sort of the outline of each panel, just so to get an idea. It's kind of like guidelines to use if you need them. The other one is place art here. We'll keep that unlocked and keep all the others locked just for safety. It makes it easier so that you're not grabbing two layers at the same time. And then there's a final layer here, which is the ink layer. The printer will usually supply you all these layers, and the ink layer is actually to show you where the ink will be printed on the sheet of paper. But we're going to keep that turned off for now because it's not really that important for this project. So we're going to actually work with the cereal box that is a vector file, and I have them all set up here. So all we need to do is take the flat front art And oh, I see a mistake that I made there. I'm gonna have to delete that if I can get to it. There it is. So we're going to take this front art here and we are going to cut and paste it in to the template document. So we're going to take that, or copy and paste it. Copy it, go into the serial template, go into the place art here layer, make sure that that layer is clicked, and Command V, place it in here. Might take a second. Vectors sometimes take a little bit longer to move, and I am going to put it in here. I think the size isn't exactly proportional, so just for this demonstration, I'm just going to stretch it to fill the space. It's going to look a little strange. Actually, it's not too bad. Normally, if the size wasn't exactly right, let's say you presented a design and then the size was slightly off from the template the printer provided, you might have to extend some of the backgrounds and the colors to get it all to work. It's sometimes a little bit of extra work, but usually that's what's good about working with the vector files, is that it allows you to go in there and do that. So let's actually just copy and paste each section over. We're going to take this. Actually, you know, this girl is over the edge here, so let's do a quick mask on that layer. I'll draw a rectangle over the whole piece. Make sure it covers the whole thing, and then select both the background and that piece, and then under object, go to make clipping mask. There we go. And now it kind of groups everything together. It actually doesn't kind of, it does group everything together. And we're going to copy that, and we're going to move that into the serial box here, and it will be the center panel. There we go. We're going to line it up here and stretch it into place to fit. Now you can see they look pretty distorted. Ideally, in a real product that is being sent to a printer, I would actually go in and tweak this a little bit to make it so that we're not distorting things when we're placing them. We're going to go to the back art. Actually, let's do that mask thing again, because we've got this person hanging over here. You know, you could play around with the layers in the other part and get, you know, all the layers sort of stacked up the right way and not do masks. Or if you don't have anything going over the layers, it's actually really easy, but it's not too hard to do a mask. So we're going to go, again, put a rectangle over this, and then we're going to select, then drag our cursor over the entire thing, and go back to object again, and then go to clipping mask and click make. And there we go. Okay, we're going to drag that onto the back of the box. We're going to stretch it out. Yeah, that's pretty good. We might actually go inside here and stretch this green layer down all the way. There we go. Yeah, that looks a little better. That's kind of what I was saying about you know, moving things around when they're vectors. A lot easier to do. It's a lot easier to do that. And then we're going to bring this other side in. Go back into our demo file of all of our flat artwork, and we're going to bring in the nutrition panel for the other side. We'll just copy that again. Go back to the art layer, place art here, and place the art there. Now sometimes the printer will actually give you a separate layer or a folder with layers in it that's for each individual panel, and that's actually can be really cool and helpful. It just keeps things really organized, and it makes it sometimes easier to move things around, particularly if you have something hanging off the edge and you can use another layer to go in front of it, scoot them around, and then have the layer with the flat edge over something that has a vector kind of hanging off the edge. But we've put everything in those mask shapes to avoid that. So now we have all our people. We've got a couple weird things going on here. Like I've got this little rectangle that maybe we should stretch that all the way around the box or delete it. Let's see if we can. Oh, and we're going to have to move it up. So we're going to go into our sub layers and try to track down that rectangle. Where is it? Not seeing it. Okay. Oh, you know, it is actually being masked off. We're going to just delete that rectangle. So that's better. Okay, so we got everything lined up pretty well. Again, if this were a final piece, and because this is a vector, we can actually play around with the mask shapes. But we're going to go in here and zoom in so we can get things really all nice and clean, lining up at the edges. Like this blue rectangle is a little bit off. Let's see if we can stretch that to line it up better. Click the regular select. Why is that not working? There it is. Cool. Yeah, so we can stretch this down to line up with the brown box. And again, this little brown box here is actually a little bit off as well. So we will stretch that down to line that up, getting everything nice and neat. Also, you can see here that the box, the red box in the background, is not lining up. It's not going over the bleed. And you know, I'm going to zoom in to show you what I mean about working with vectors and why they're helpful. So like, I didn't create this artwork with a bleed, but if I'm working with a vector, I need to create a bleed to print off the edge so the ink doesn't, there's not like a white line when the box is glued together. I can actually stretch that vector out and this vector out to have it so that when it's folded here and when it's cut here, there won't be any white areas around it. Some of these other panels are a little bit tricky because I built masks, but I could also click on, if I can grab it, the outside of the mask and click that up and just extend the bleed. Now for the mock-up in class, you won't really need to do that because you'll be able to fold things down more precisely than a machine. Actually, believe it or not, our hands folding this stuff down can be more accurate than a piece of folding equipment at a printer. But if you were sending this to a printer, you would want to create bleeds like I'm doing here all the way around the box. Again, this has a mask around it, so I'll have to click, kind of guess where that mask frame is. There it is. Click on it, click that up, click that inside brown box again, stretch that up to go in the bleed. Need to do that with the Jurassic Art image as well. We're just going to scoot that one up. And yeah, that actually we're going to have to extend the bow. Wait, I think that worked. Yeah, everything looks good there. We're going to actually just stretch this over the edges here so it has a little bit of a bleed as well on this edge. There we go. Stretch it up this way a little tiny bit more. Okay, so we got all our front and our sides. Now we're going to move on to doing the top and the bottom. For this bottom area here, you've got these no varnish for glue, no varnish. Varnish is like a shiny layer. It's an extra color of transparent ink that protects the packaging. You can add dull and gloss varnishes to kind of create some dimensionality to the artwork. You would actually, in a file like this, the printer might actually just do the varnish plate, so you may not have to use it at all. Sometimes the printers don't want ink in this area either, but most of the time ink is okay to have there. So we're just going to draw our color blocks over the top of these, and then we're going to pick a red color here. And actually, this is the top one. That's actually going to have artwork on it. So let's scoot this down to the bottom, down here, and put it at the fold. There we go. Okay, let's go back to our serial box and grab the top artwork. So here we got the top artwork. And we'll go into the serial box here. We're going to place the artwork in here. Now, yeah, we do. We actually have to rotate the artwork. So we should be able to get the rotation tool when we get close to the corner. and we're going to rotate it around 180 degrees and move it to the top. We can put it right at the fold. Then we're going to stretch this artwork out. There we go. Scoot this down so you can see a little bit. Now, this artwork, because it's a vector again, we can actually scale these kids up, sort of fit the space a little bit better. And then we can take our logo and center it in there, make that better, make that fill up the space a little bit more. And then we're going to take this, we're going to scoot this artwork over. So we're just going to hold the Option key, hold the Shift key, and drag it to the other top flap. Put that there. We're going to scoot this down a little bit to fill up the space. Then we're going to take this text, and this text is going to be down here. This probably overlaps right about here. Probably should be some sort of marking on the template for that, but I think we can sort of figure that out. We'll just put the tagline down here and center it. There we go. Yeah, and that's it. We've got all the pieces in there. We put them on each panel. You can do a very similar thing with individual JPEGs for each panel. And let me make sure there are no other little things in here that I'm missing. There are not. And then that is it for actually putting your artwork into, actually this needs to center a little bit more, putting your artwork into a printer supplied template for a cereal box. Oh yes, we did miss one thing. We got one other piece on the bottom. I knew I was forgetting something. There we go. And when I see this, I can see this needs to scoot down just a pinch more. There we go. All the leads. Yeah, there we go. So we've got everything in here. Actually, you know what? We got to make this yellow one come over. We're not done. That happens so much in design. You think you're done, and then you're not. Let's click that mask shape. If we can get it without zooming. I'm being lazy. There we go. I was being lazy and not zooming in. Click the yellow shape. Scoot that down just a tiny bit. And yeah, there we go. Okay, now we have everything in there. And that is how you do it. So look for more videos on more templates in the future. And have a good one.